You're listening to a DM podcast.
Every day is a fresh beginning. Listen, my soul, to the glad refrain. And spite of old sorrow and older sinning, and troubles forecast and possible pain, take heart with the day and begin again. That's a poem by Susan Coolidge that I noticed a few years ago and wrote down in one of my journals. I've been keeping a journal for more than 3 decades. Over the years, I've filled almost 100 books. They aren't diaries in the classical sense, they're better described as notebooks. Places where I jot down quotes that interest me, advice I find helpful, or stories that amuse me. More often than not, the life advice doesn't come from self-help books. Instead, they're simply things that caught my attention in a novel or a film. It's part of my motivation in doing this podcast. I not only enjoy watching, reading, and listening to my guests' choices, I also invariably learn from them. It's always been my preference to access wisdom in this under-the-radar way, as opposed to from people who set themselves up as experts giving lists of rules to be as clever and happy as them. Having said that, I have on a number of occasions read some more instructional books that have been truly life-changing. Too Soon Old, Too Late Smart by Gordon Livingston, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, being 3 such examples. But despite books like these, I can't quite shake my cynical attitude to the modern self-development industry, because it just seems to be overrun by so many false prophets. I lump them into 4 groups. First is the well-intentioned idiots. People who repeat age-old platitudes as if they are new thoughts rather than other people's already overused words. Next are the self-appointed experts. This group are impervious to rational debate and contemptuous of disagreement. They murder intellectual rigour by mistaking self-confidence and feelings for competence and credibility. Third, and more sadly, are the mentally unwell attention seekers who crave the external affirmation of Instagram likes to validate their existence, and therefore set themselves up as advice givers in a bid to achieve this. And worst of all are the 4th group, the cynical charlatans. Those people who knowingly peddle useless advice to vulnerable people as a way of making money out of them. All of which makes my next guest all the more fascinating, as her life's work is in the self-development space. Yet she avoids membership of any of the groups just mentioned.
And we just started singing at full pelt this song at the top of our lungs. And so whenever I think about this song, it reminds me of freedom and how in that moment of singing that song, I couldn't have felt more free in my life. I mean, you know, in those early years, you don't really have any monetary woes because you're still too young kind of to get like a hardcore job. So you have like a little job whilst you're studying at uni. You don't have kids. You know, most of us were either renting or something like that. So we don't have like a hardcore mortgage or anything. And, uni holidays last forever. And I think there's something in that whole idea of freedom, because it's something I talk to a lot of people on A Life of Greatness about, because when we want monetary wealth and things like that, it's not that we want the money, we want to be free. And I think one of the greatest things that humans want in their life, is to be free.
Sarah Grynberg's mission is to share research, knowledge and experiences that help people cultivate an extraordinary existence. To do this involves her interviewing a host of world-famous names such as Mark Manson, Esther Perel, Matthew McConaughey, Wim Hof, Sadhguru, Simon Sinek and Jay Shetty, amongst many others. Tune in next week to see how she responds to the Fibre My Life challenge. There might even be some under-the-radar wisdom.